In today's world, anxiety and stress have become widespread issues. Modern life, with its constant demands, pressure for success, and uncertainty about the future, leads us to live in a state of near-permanent tension. But what if I told you that ancient philosophers had already found a way to deal with this? Stoicism, one of the most powerful and practical philosophies left to us by antiquity, offers clear and direct solutions to these problems. Today, we are going to explore how the teachings of great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca can help you overcome anxiety and stress, facing daily challenges with a calm and rational mindset. First, we need to understand that for the Stoics, anxiety and stress are emotional responses to situations that, for the most part, are beyond our control. And what do Stoics do with what they cannot control? They accept it, embrace it, and even love it. Through a series of techniques that we will break down, Stoicism teaches us how to change our perspective and, by doing so, transform our relationship with these negative emotional states. The key to Stoicism lies in its most fundamental principle, the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Imagine you are facing a situation that generates a lot of anxiety, such as a job interview, an exam, or a difficult conversation with a loved one. Naturally, you begin to feel that sense of unease, of nervousness. But the Stoics teach us to pause and ask ourselves, what is within my control in this situation? What is not under your control is the outcome of the interview, the reactions of others, or whether the examiner will ask difficult questions. But what is within your control is how you prepare for the interview, how you manage your emotions, and how you choose to react to the unexpected. This simple shift in focus is one of the most powerful tools you can apply to reduce anxiety. Epictetus said that it is not external events that cause us suffering, but our interpretations of those events. In other words, it is not the situation itself that generates anxiety, but how we perceive it. This means that the power to manage your anxiety lies within you, in your mind, and in your perspective. If you can change the way you interpret a situation, you can also change how it affects you emotionally. Now, it's not enough to simply know what is under our control and what is not. We also need to train our minds to stop the cycle of anxious and stressful thoughts. This is where the Stoic practice of prosoke, or mindfulness, comes into play. This technique is essentially a form of mindfulness, but with a key difference. Instead of focusing on passive meditation, as is done in many modern mindfulness practices, prosoke invites us to be aware of our own emotions and thoughts in the present moment, but from a posture of rational control. When we are caught in a state of anxiety or stress, our mind often wanders into the future, imagining all the possible negative outcomes. The Stoics teach us that instead of allowing our mind to drift into that uncertain territory, we should focus on what is happening now, in this moment. What is under your control right now? Seneca, one of the great Stoics, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the things we worry about never happen, yet they still cause us distress. By practicing prosoke, we train our minds to remain in the present, preventing ourselves from being consumed by anxiety over what might happen tomorrow. But what happens when the situation we are facing is truly difficult? Here comes a highly valuable Stoic technique, negative visualization, or pre-meditatio malorum. Contrary to what it might seem at first glance, this is not a pessimistic technique, but a practical tool for preparing emotionally for challenges. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, used to practice negative visualization every morning. He would imagine the problems he might face that day, from a rebellion in the empire to betrayal within his close circle. By doing this, he did not let fear take hold of him. Instead, he mentally prepared himself to respond calmly and without stress if any of these situations were to occur. Negative visualization helps you build a mental armor. Imagine you have an important presentation at work. You can visualize the projector breaking down, forgetting a key part of your speech, or receiving difficult questions to answer. By imagining these scenarios in advance, you prepare yourself to face them without stress if they happen, because you have already trained your mind to react in a calm and rational manner. Another Stoic concept that can transform your relationship with stress is Amor Fati, which means love of fate. This principle invites us to accept everything that happens in our lives, both the good and the bad, with gratitude. The Stoics believed that everything that happens for a reason, and our task is not to resist the inevitable but to embrace it. Instead of fighting against the current of life, Amor Fati teaches us to flow with it. Think of a situation where things didn't go as you expected. You lost a job, ended a relationship, or faced a failure in an important project. The instinctive response to these situations is stress, frustration, or anxiety. But if we apply Amor Fati, we ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? By adopting this mindset, difficult events no longer feel like tragedies, but rather as opportunities for improvement and evolution. This shift in perspective significantly reduces stress and helps us live with greater serenity. Finally, the Stoics invite us to remember that life is short. The principle of Memento Mori, or remember that you will die, may seem grim, but in reality, it is a source of motivation. By remembering that our time is limited, we learn to focus on what truly matters and to set aside trivial concerns. Ask yourself, is it worth expending your energy on that conflict with your colleague, or worrying about a situation you cannot control? If you remember that your life has an end, you will start to prioritize what truly has value and let go of what does not. A practical technique to apply Memento Mori in your daily life is to ask yourself, in any situation that causes you anxiety or stress, will this matter in a year? Or in 5 years? By putting things into perspective, you realize that many of the worries occupying your mind are not as important as you thought, allowing you to release that emotional burden and focus on what truly matters. Stoicism offers us deep and practical tools to overcome anxiety and stress. By focusing on what we can control, practicing mindfulness, mentally preparing for challenges, accepting fate with gratitude, and remembering the brevity of life, we can live with greater calm and serenity. The next time you face a stressful situation or feel that anxiety is consuming you, remember these Stoic teachings. You have the power to change your perspective and, by doing so, transform your life.